What?
To match your works. Because the Bible states in Mark 2:26, faith without works is dead. So your faith and your works have to match. Your faith is what you believe because it's what? The evidence of things. What is faith? Yeah. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for. So this is something that you are hoping to happen, but you got to have a belief that it will happen. When I was 10 years old, I told my dad I was going to the NBA. And he said, how do you know? I said, I know it. I believe it. And I know that I'm better than all the guys I just saw play. And now this is my time. He said, well, if you want to make it, you have to sacrifice. And I said, Dad, I'm ready to sacrifice whatever it is to make it to the NBA. And mind you, I was 10 years old. How many 10-year-olds believe and know at 10 that they're going to make it to the NBA or to professional sports? I did. I just had this strong sense of faith that anything I put my mind to, I can do. And that's what goes back to prayer and how the trick of the enemy from everything in life, keep your mind with a short mindset. brain.
Yeah.
Because they start going all over the place. They get this monkey brain.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to hear the still, small, still voice of God. You got to get alone. You got to get away from the noise. You got to get quiet. Why? So they can see it.
Yeah.
It's implanted in your brain. Now it's time to go put it in.
I like that. I heard a quote the other day where the pastor was saying how like a lot of people pray for God's hand, like God to give them something, when Moses was praying to see his face.
Yes.
And I was like, dang, that impacted my life, because I'm like, man, I feel like if I can just keep my eyes on him, everything else is just gonna like fall into place. And I even love that about my prayer life too, is because you mentioned the word manifestation earlier. Like, I feel like there were times in my life where when I think of manifestation, I think of like trying to like willfully force something to happen. Like, I'm gonna make this thing happen. And there are times in my life where I'm like, I'm gonna make this thing happen. And I'm like, all right, God, give me this thing. And he doesn't give it to me. And I'm like, why are you giving it to me? And I realize it's because maybe he just doesn't trust me with it, or maybe that thing's gonna crush me, or maybe that isn't good. And I love that about my prayer life, because if I were to personally like get everything that I wanted, I would be crushed, angry, hurtful, rude, all that junk. But if I pray and go, okay, God, like, is this for me? Is this really for me? And see what that looks like, then, maybe it's, okay, maybe this isn't because sometimes people think if they don't get what they ask for, then God's not responding to the prayer. God responds to the prayer.
And I think that people think that God is a genie. People try to use God like a genie. So that they're thinking prayer means, God, I'm praying that you bless me right now. And they expect it to happen right now. It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
What are we doing in that time period before to get to God? Are we in his presence? Are we staying in his presence? Fasting? Are we reading? Are we praying? Are we separating ourselves from the world so we can actually hear from God? Think about what Jesus did in his life in the Garden of Gethsemane when he had to go pray and get away from everyone. When he went to go get tempted in Matthew, he had to pray and get away from everyone. When he fasted for 40 days, he had to get away from everybody. And why? Because the devil wanted to tempt him. The devil tempted him. After those 40 days of temptation, what happened with Jesus? It's transfigured. He went through a process. Why? Because all those temptations, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life.
If you want a metal scream, but you're too quiet, it sounds airy, and it feels constipated, then listen up. In 1 month, my buddy Michael was able to unlock his fry scream. Since then, he's now started a business working professionally on stage. And you might think he was born with this.
It didn't hit him. He went without sin. And so his prayers, everything was answered for him because he actually said and went through the process. A lot of times we don't want to go through the process.
Yeah.
We just want to rub the bottle of the genie that we expect God is, but that's not God.
Yeah.
We have to pray, and he has to, like you said, see if he can trust us with those gifts before he give us these gifts.
Yeah.
I started praying when I was 10 years old to go to the NBA. Did I go to the NBA at 10? No. I had to tarry. I had to wait. I had to be patient. I had to go through a process of elimination.
Yeah.
I had to eliminate people around me. I had to eliminate things from my body. Eliminate all of these things that would stop me from getting to where my goal, which is the NBA.
Yeah.
Did I stop praying every day? No. I prayed every single day from the time I was 10 to the time I got to the NBA.
Do you feel like that your parents' prayer life, how they prayed for you and how they prayed for you, that impacted your life and how you pray?
I think, to be honest, after being a 39-year-old young man and experiencing so much at a very young age, I've come to realize that we are all, every single one of us are on this, our own journey to find out who we truly are. And our parents, their job was to lay a foundation. My parents laid a great and amazing foundation of love, but also prayer. And what I did was take it to a whole other level. So I saw what they did, praying for me to make it to the NBA. And I used that same faith. Every single person that become a vessel on this planet, I use that same attitude for every aspect of my life. Whatever I do in my life, I'm going to have that faith of a mustard seed. I'm going to believe Philippians 4:13 that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. That is going to be my mindset because of the prayer warriors and the people that came before me.
Yeah.
So they established the foundation. My parents did. So when I came, I was able to walk into my destiny.
That was one of my mentors told me that one of the things when I started walking, I have a mentor, when I started walking with him, he said, my revelation should be your foundation.
Yes.
And the things that took me 5 years to understand shouldn't take you that long. It should take you 6 months. It should take you 1 month, and so I love that. I love that.
It's so true. It's crazy that you said that.
So let's start at 10, right? So you're 10, you're praying for the NBA, you're trying to figure out who you are. I feel like that's a good age to say, okay, when you're 10 years old, you're starting to find out about yourself. You're starting to try to discover who you are. What are some hardships you face? What was your childhood like growing up from 10 probably through high school?
I had to keep my head out of the clouds because I was so locked in on going to the NBA. So what I had to do was center myself, stay grounded, and focus on the moment. Focusing on the moment, knowing that I already have an end goal was what kept my high school times amazing. My end goal was to how I do everything in life. It's through my faith. Through my faith, I know that I have to see the end before I start a new beginning. So I had to see the end of something. The end of my goal was to be in the NBA. So now I had to go back to the beginning. What is going to be my steps to get to the NBA? I have to stay locked in school. I'm going to be going to school for my 4 years of high school, which means I can't get distracted. I got to stay focused. I got to work out. I can't go out and party, do all the things that people in high school might do. I can't do that. I got to wake up at 4 o'clock. I got to get to the track, the gym. All these things were things that I planned out and prepared myself for before I even went to the NBA. So now, when my name was called, one, it was an expectation. Two, it was a knowing, not a believing. Those are two different things. It was a knowing. I knew that I was going to heaven. I knew that I was going to the NBA. I knew that I was going to be the first pick in the draft. I just didn't kind of have this, I believe so. I think it's, I know.
The confidence.
I know. I know Jesus. I know what God did for my life. These things is a different mindset. The mindset of all people, like, we have to go from this, I think so. I believe so to know. I know. And once you have that I know mindset, anything in life is possible. I know I can do this. I know I can. I think I can. I know I can. That's my favorite book, The Little Engine That Could.
Yeah.
That's all he said in the whole book. I know I can. I know I can. And that was my thought process. I know I can. I know I can. That mindset just stuck with me to this day.
It seems like you knew your calling from a pretty young age. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when we'll go to college and talk to students, a lot of people are like, how do I know what my calling is? How do I know? And, I try to encourage people, God gives everyone gifts. I'm not good at graphic design. A lot of people are. You can use that to glorify God. A lot of people are good at athletics. You can use that to glorify God. But 10 years old, like you're saying, I know I'm supposed to go to the NBA. For people, especially in athletics, that have a desire, an awesome desire, like athletics, NBA, maybe the NFL, maybe the 12 How did you keep your eyes eyes on God as like the main priority, while also putting in the work for the NBA without making it an idol in your life, if that makes sense. Basketball was to bring me closer to God. I took that as my first now my first got a basketball, which means everything that I do with basketball work has to match mentally, physically, and spiritually. It has to match my faith. Now these two things match, and it is possible. And then he also told us that greater works than this we will do. So Jesus is telling me that, and he's giving me his Bible, his vessel. And he said, you can have all these gifts if you ask. And I'm going to ask. And then I'm going to stay in the will of the Most High God. So all these things that I would want to happen in my life happen. You graduate high school, going to the NBA, you're playing, everything, like you're living the dream in that moment. Like this is the thing, like you're praying for it, I've been working hard to reach it. I right before I became a Christian, I thought I had everything I wanted. Now, I was 16 at the time, you know, I'm very limited, but I thought I had everything I wanted. And I was still, I don't know, sad. How in that daily rhythm of being in the NBA, things like that, let's be real, professional athlete, working out all the time, games, traveling, and then outside the regular season, if you go into the playoffs, you got more games, and then off season, and then you got other stuff, and then outside of basketball, you got, you know, business stuff you're doing, and you got this. I really believe if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy and keep you like staying. Not saying that all busyness is bad, but distractions. How did you keep your eyes on Jesus in the midst of those distractions? How did you create space for Jesus in the midst of a busy schedule? There's times when I couldn't. There's so many times where I didn't have my eyes on Jesus. And how did that affect your daily life? How did it affect my daily life? Because anytime I take my eyes off Jesus, chaos erupts in my life. Chaos happens when you allow your desires to get the best millions of dollars. So in the process of dollars, now you have access to the world with everything. You were thinking that you had everything in the world, right? Think about 2 years later, being 18 years old, being in the NBA, coming from the smallest school in Georgia. I had 16 people in my classroom. Yes. Oh my God. 10 girls and 6 guys were in my classroom. I had 300 people in my school total. That is including the principals, the staff, the janitors, the babies, all the way up to 12th grade was my school. I went to the same school my whole life. So I went from this little bubble to now thrown into the whole world. Yeah. And given millions of dollars. So at 18, I'm like, I can do anything. Yeah. Who do I need to listen to? And this is where the devil, or people like to say the devil, and I call it my lower self.
lowest version of myself was to entertain my desire. And sometimes we want to blame that on somebody else, but we have to look ourselves in the mirror and hold ourselves accountable. Why? Because all of us have to bear our own cross.
Yeah.
Jesus died for all our sins. We're not under the law anymore. We're under His grace.
Come on.
But we still got to bear our own cross.
Yeah.
So, me at 18, I'm dealing with so much because what comes with money, evil and good.
Yeah.
But when you love money, that is the root of all evil. So me being around people who might love money, that's too much turmoil and just crazy around. I just have to figure out how to move.
Yeah.
There were times where I felt like Jesus was never there. He always come in a situation where he needs something. I would never leave. You gotta remember, even when you're going through these trials that you've been going through, I am here. But you have to figure out how to get through these trials and tribulations.
Oh,
I
baby.
have given you all the tools, talent, the mind, everything. But you, it is your choice.
Yeah, you're a slave.
Billy Graham, he's like a famous preacher. He said something. He said that Martin Luther King's mom one time he said God. His mom said oftentimes you can't prove God. That's because the closest to us.
You said what now? Yeah, because you do. You see me now. I'm here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I love you too, beautiful. Hold on, I'm in that game. Actually, I might. I don't know what I'm gonna hit. You already said that, baby.